Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024. So it's the day before FOMC, which is a key piece of information there. Um, it will be as we go through this. So uh, we had an interesting day today, and I learned some lessons today, or at least some things that come away with some things that I need to work on. I'll share those with y'all, of course, but we had Monday we had a pretty good gap up, and we built higher value, even though we did one time frame down and moved lower most of the day, and we ended with a spike. And then today we gap down. And let me just go to my plan here. So this is my Substack write up from before the open. So I was talking about the fact we had obvious weakness in the overnight as we gapped down below the previous gap that was unfilled. So that put in basically an island gap here. It looked like we had an island gap basically at the open. When the market stops making sense, I get more cautious. I will be looking for continuation of the move down, but I will need to see market generated information clearly in favor of continuation down. So basically what I'm saying there is, come to the market this morning in the overnight, and we have a gap down that is mostly in the overnight session. What I didn't really pay a lot of attention to, because I was working on other stuff, is we did retrace this whole move and end up opening up back in the value of the overnight session. But I said when the market starts making sense, I get more cautious. And I mean, when it starts making sense to me. I'm not trying to say the whole market doesn't make sense. Nobody can understand it. But for me, we're in balance here. This is just a big balance area. And when we're in balance, the moves get sloppier, the levels are less respected. It's just harder to trade, in my opinion. And that being because the probabilities of the levels and the moves get weaker. And so that's what I'm talking about there. I'm aware that we have FOMC tomorrow, so there will likely be less range than yesterday, so the opportunities may be less as well. So I'm going to spend some time researching this, actually. So, I remember in my mind what most of previous FOMC days have been, pre-FOMC days have been, and my memory is that those days are mostly small days, like 17 points, 23 points. Some of them are normal days. Some of them are neutral days where we just take out the IB by a couple points on both sides. And normal days where we don't take it out at all. So very tight range, small, whippy, hard to trade, balancy type of mean reversion action. That's the sum of it. But I don't know if that's fact or not, or if that's just my bias of pre-FOMC days. So I need to go back and do some research, and I want those numbers so I know, because today was not that. Today was a trend day. And there was a point in the day where I actually mentioned this looks trendy, because we started to get a little squeezy, and it just looked like it was shaping up to be a trend day. And I think that was in C period, actually. But I put that in the room because I couldn't believe there would be a trend day. My bias was telling me we can't have a trend day before FOMC. So that's what that is. So open above 5183. I will look for support around 5183, which is an area of confluence. That's this area here, P settle, overnight low, TPOC. I do not expect much upside. 5183 is an area of confluence with Fridays and the previous weekly settle. So I just explained what that level is. Above here, I will look for the gap to fill and target previous low a day at 5210. Right here. 5225, previous POC becomes a target. And then 5240 to 46 is a supply area where we found sellers yesterday. And that's where high day is, where we closed on the day. This second part did not come into play because we never got below that level. So my plan worked very well. My levels worked very well. Let's see. Try to zoom in on this a little bit so we can get a little better idea of what price action actually did here. So when we opened up an A period, we saw immediate weakness off the open. We sold lower, but we only put in about 10 points of range on A period. And then when B period put in a poor low or poorish low, I started to get the idea that maybe we weren't going to get much more selling. After that move down, after this move up in the overnight, we couldn't even get close to the overnight low, which we should have been able to do pretty easily. But B was an inside bar, and that's another piece of information that's helpful. So whenever B is an inside bar, particularly B, then I look for the break of that bar and for continuation of it. And that's what C gave us. So C broke B's high. It took the open, it took the IB high, and it went straight to our gap, filled our gap, put in a weak high. It wasn't to the tick, but it's a very visual level at the previous low day, put in a weak high. And then, what a definition of a weak high is that, it's at an exact visual reference from the previous day, like a, previous low day. It could be a couple days back, high day, TPOC, whatever. And those are more weak-handed participants or sellers in this case because they sold that level. So we should look for that level to be taken. So it gives us a nice target to find a place to get into the trade and look for it to be taken, monitor for continuation after that. So we pull back into the IB high in the open, and we couldn't even get B's high, found some buyers. We come right back up and we take that level, ran some stops above it actually. And then and whenever D period comes in, we find buyers immediately. Couldn't even pull back to the midpoint and left some singles. That's the first indication. Whenever you can't close those signals, look for make sure you're looking for continuation at that point. You're not trying to fade that day anymore. So we get back into this range, and then the target was 52.25 up here in this, up here in this area right here. So we come in E period, we put in even more singles, and then we stopped briefly at this level. Didn't last very long. We had another period, put in more singles. And then we ended up balancing up here for, I believe, about 5 periods. So this is very productive. And we ended up balancing up here. We moved value up here. We moved point of control up here. We have a, 6, 7 wide point of control now up here at the highs. And then we have a pullback to our 25 level, 26.25, but essentially this level here. So now we have even more confluence in this area with multiple things. So this stays on the price map for another day. And so after balancing out, we're finding sellers at a supply area, which is what I look for. I look to find sellers ahead of it until we get into it, and I look for a squeeze through it. We didn't quite get the squeeze through it yet, but we didn't get into it until M period. So M period took our 40.25 level, squeezed right up into our supply area. It was 10 ticks shy of our all-time highs. We left a good price spike in here, and we closed in the price spike. So tomorrow we'll want to monitor and see if we can get price acceptance up here, and I would expect all-time highs to be extended up. So let me see. Let me look at my notes. All right, so some of the key points for today. Monday and Tuesday's gaps were filled, so no island gap, no gap from yesterday. We have 4 sets of unfilled singles today. Even though we don't have a ton of range, we only have 49 points. It's good range, but it's not amazing. So we have about 50 points of range on only 1 million contracts traded. We have 4 sets of singles, and we have positive 22,000 delta. Rotational factor of plus 12. So that's pretty much it for my notes today. You want to look at the GEX ray today because it gave some good directional bias, which is what I look at this one for. I use the other ones for different things, more for levels, right? But at the beginning of the day, you can see it's not as clear now after we've put in the whole day, but you can see at the beginning of the day, we had a lot of range down to the downside. This wall was very strong in the beginning of the day, the put wall. So you can kind of get an idea of how this looked in the beginning of the day. the market was positioned for a move lower at the open. So then as the day goes on and we get above our GWAP, we get up to our, just kind of pay attention to what's to the left of my mouse, as this legend is in the way, but we get up to our call wall finally, and there were some other things, that's our 25 area. You can see right here, that's our 25 area. So confluence there, we get up to that wall and we get pinned. And whenever you get pinned, then I look for those orders to be wiped out and for the walls to move up. And that's what happened. So if you're able to leave a runner at that point, the wall moved up about 5 points. And then we ended up getting kind of pinned to that level, and the wall moved up higher. Let's move this mouse. See if this might work. Oh, there we go. Okay, so once we got pinned, then the wall moved up, and then we got pinned to that level, and we saw the wall move up again. And, just got stuck in between, basically in this high gamma area up here. So very good signals off the X-ray today. That's the way I use it. I use it to target. I use it for directional bias. So whenever I see the walls moving in a certain direction, then I want to be trading in that direction. But I also use it for targets. And then when we get there, I know those are areas I need to be watching order flow very carefully. So if I'm watching this area, I can watch and see what kind of orders are in the book, how aggressively they're being taken. Because if you look at a chart, you just see that we're getting stuck here. Like here, you see we're just getting stuck here at that level. And I see people that don't have this tool that are looking to fade this. But we have this tool, we know it's there. We can see the order flow. And I know the way these walls react and what kind of order flow is behind this gamma, that if they're sitting there just taking all those orders, then more than likely we're going to end up moving up. If we get up there and there's not very aggressive flow at the wall, then I would expect it to move lower. And then we can often see the wall move lower as well. So very good look today on the tool. And that's pretty much it. I want to take a look real quick at what we've got tomorrow besides FOMC. So Wednesday, we have, nothing really. FOMC and then the presser with Powell, of course, and we have some other news throughout the day. So that's it for today. I've got my Substack. I'll post it in the comments down below. That's where I put my daily plan in the morning. I'm not doing a morning video right now to make sure I can stay focused and save myself some time. I might go back to it. I don't know. But follow my Substack. Just subscribe. It's free. I'm not charging for it. And you'll get my morning report, my morning write-up, my morning levels and everything. And if you have any questions, you can shout at me there. You can shoot me a comment in this video. So I will see you all in the morning. Y'all have a good night.